I had always been a light sleeper, especially when my husband, Tyler, was away on his business trips. Something about sleeping in an empty bed made every sound in the house feel magnified. That night had started like any other, quiet and uneventful. I had double-checked the locks, turned off the kitchen lights, and climbed into bed with a book I'd read a dozen times already. It was my comfort read, the kind that made me feel at ease when the house seemed too big and too quiet. Tyler had called earlier from Chicago. His voice was warm, tired. He'd been in meetings all day and promised he'd be home by the weekend. I told him I missed him, and he promised to bring back my favorite chocolates from that little shop near the hotel he always stayed at. After we said our goodnights, I turned off the lamp and let myself drift into a light, restless sleep. It must have been around 2 in the morning when I stirred. I didn't open my eyes at first. It was just a shift in the air, a subtle change in temperature, or maybe just a feeling, one I couldn't explain. The room was dark, except for the faint blue glow from the digital clock on the nightstand. I rolled onto my side, pulling the covers up to my chin, and that's when I felt it. A warmth behind me. Not just the residual heat of a bed once shared, but the distinct sensation of someone lying next to me. The mattress dipped slightly under the weight, and a breath, soft but unmistakably real, brushed against the back of my neck. My entire body stiffened. Every nerve lit up with alarm. This wasn't Tyler. I knew it deep in my bones. My husband was hundreds of miles away. So who or what was behind me? I didn't scream. Maybe it was shock, or maybe my brain was still trying to convince me I was dreaming. Slowly, carefully, I reached for my phone on the nightstand. My fingers grazed it, but before I could pull it toward me, a voice whispered, "Emily, don't be afraid." The voice was low, familiar. My heart pounded. I turned my head just slightly, enough to catch a glimpse of the figure lying behind me.
It was Jake.
Jake Mitchell, my husband's old friend. Jake and Tyler had been college roommates. He lived 2 blocks away now, having moved back into town after his divorce last year. He was a regular fixture at our dinner table, the kind of friend who always showed up with a bottle of wine and stories that made us laugh till our stomachs hurt. But we were never close like that. At least I hadn't thought so. "What are you doing here?" I whispered, my voice shaking. "I didn't mean to scare you," he said quietly. "Your front door was open. I thought something might have happened." That made no sense. I'd locked it. I was sure of it. "You can't just come into someone's house like that," I said, sitting up in bed now, clutching the blanket tightly against me. "You scared me half to death." Jake sat up too, running a hand through his tousled hair. He looked disheveled, like he'd been out walking for hours. There was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before, an intensity that made me nervous. I know. I wasn't thinking straight. He stopped looking away. "I was walking by and I saw your living room light flicker. I knocked but no one answered. I got worried." His explanation sounded sincere, but my instincts told me there was more. Jake had always been a little too watchful, too aware. He remembered things I said in passing, things even Tyler forgot. And now he was in my bed, at 2 in the morning, whispering my name. I climbed out of bed, pulling my robe tightly around me. "You have to go, Jake." He stood too, but didn't move toward the door. "Emily, wait. Please." "I'm serious. I don't know what you were thinking, but this isn't okay." He looked at me for a long moment, then finally nodded. "I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have come in." He walked to the bedroom door and paused. I miss the way things used to be, when it was the 3 of us, when I felt like I had a place."
I didn't say anything.
I couldn't. I waited until I heard the front door open and close, and then I stood in the silence, heart still pounding, wondering if I'd imagined the whole thing. The next morning, I checked the locks. They were all intact. I checked the security camera at the front porch and saw Jake's shadow briefly cross the frame just before 2 a.m. He hadn't lied about coming in, but that didn't make it okay. I didn't tell Tyler. What was I supposed to say? That his best friend crept into our home while he was away and got into bed with me? There was no way to explain it that wouldn't sound insane or worse. The days passed. Jake didn't reach out, and I avoided going anywhere I might see him. I kept my routines tight. Work, groceries, home. Tyler came back that Friday, full of energy and travel stories. I smiled and laughed and hugged him extra tight, grateful to have him home. Even as part of me stayed on edge, waiting for the next unexpected moment. But things didn't stop there. A week later, while Tyler was mowing the lawn, I found a note in our mailbox. It wasn't in an envelope, just folded paper with my name on it. The handwriting was Jake's. "I'm sorry, Emily. I shouldn't have come into your house. I wasn't myself. I miss being close to someone who saw me, who listened. Please forgive me." I tore it up and threw it away, but my hands shook for a long time afterward. And then I started seeing him again. Not directly, just around. At the grocery store, in the park, on the street. Always from a distance, always watching. I wanted to believe it was coincidence, that I was imagining things, but my gut said otherwise. Tyler noticed my anxiety. One night over dinner, he reached across the table and took my hand. "Is everything okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Just work stress. Nothing serious." But it was serious. And it was about to get worse. 2 weeks later, Tyler left again, this time for a conference in Denver. That night, I triple-locked every door and window. I even left a light on in the hallway. Still, I couldn't sleep. I stayed curled on the couch with a blanket and a book, listening to the creaks and groans of the house. Just past midnight, I heard something outside. A soft rustle, like footsteps on the porch. I turned off the TV and sat perfectly still. The doorknob jiggled. I called 911 immediately, whispering into the phone. The dispatcher stayed with me as I described what I'd heard. Within minutes, red and blue lights filled the front yard. By the time the officers arrived, whoever had been at the door was gone. They took a statement and promised to patrol the neighborhood more frequently. I thanked them and tried to believe it would help. The next morning, I found another note. This one was tucked under my windshield wiper. "You don't have to be afraid of me. I would never hurt you. I just wish things were different." I called Jake. For the first time in weeks, I confronted him directly. "I don't know what you're trying to do," I said. "But it has to stop. I'm serious, Jake. If you come near me or my house again, I will go to the police." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I'm sorry. It won't happen again." And it didn't. Or at least not in any obvious way. I changed the locks. Installed a better security system. Tyler never asked about it, and I never told him the full truth. Some secrets, I decided, were better left alone, especially ones that could fracture the life we'd built.